God. Boss has spoken. Hello everyone and welcome back to Combe Valley Campers. Today we're going to show you how to put a headliner into your camper van. In previous videos, we have shown you how to insulate and sound deaden your van. We've shown you then how to prepare the surfaces and fit ply panels to the inside. We've also shown you how to carpet those panels, and finally, how to carpet the whole inside of the vehicle. The last thing we've yet to do is to fit the headliner right up in the top of the van. We've got another T5 here today, this one in yellow. It's nicknamed Izzy. It's going to be almost a Bumblebee replica from Transformers van. So to that end, they would like the whole interior of this van to be very, very dark. So the black on yellow theme or yellow on black theme sort of follows through. Depending on which van you own, it may or may not have had factory fitted headliner panels. In this instance, this is a T5 short wheelbase, and it is fitted from the factory with these hardboard panels, which, as you can see, do get damaged quite easily if the vehicle has had a bit of a rough life. This van in particular is an ex-service vehicle, as you may be able to tell by the colour, and these vans were fitted out for different purposes depending on the task that they had to carry out. To that end, this headliner is not going to be suitable for recarpeting, so we're going to replace it. As in previous videos, as you can find up here, we have bought our door panels from Custom Shop Designs. They're the CNC cut panels, and we've done exactly the same in this instance here. So this ply piece here is CNC cut to perfectly match the factory Volkswagen headliner. In this instance, I've chosen to have this panel delivered without the pre-cut holes, as you will see on this piece, for the door panels. There is good reason for that, and we'll cover that later. What also comes in the kit from Custom Shop Designs are these strips. Now these are designed to replace the factory headliner strips. 9 times out of 10, they're actually in fairly good nick, but depending on the age of the vehicle, sometimes your van that you want to convert may actually be missing these, or they'll be falling down or broken, or any of the above. I actually prefer to keep these and just bend them back into shape, clean them up, and then carpet them and put them back in the van. I prefer the finish that we can achieve with these, because we're going to replace these clips, rather than just carpeting these strips and screwing them back up in place. So we're going to ditch these, well, that's how I do it anyway. We're going to ditch these pieces and just reuse the VW factory clips, and again, we'll go into that later. The last thing we're going to do is to show you how to cut holes for LED lights. Now, LED downlighters are really, really popular with camper van conversions, and you can get them in 100 different styles. We're going to show you 2 different styles and how to fit both of those. And that's about it, really. We are going to carpet these as well, these panels, and then put them up. But we'll show you each and every stage of how I go ahead and fit these panels up into the headliner. Next, we're going to go through the tools you're going to need for the job. The first one is basically a second pair of hands. When you're in the van on your own trying to do the headliner, and some of you may well be fitting a headliner on your own, you're going to need another pair of hands, and this is going to come in the form of these roof props or drywall supports. They're from we get them from Screwfix in the UK. I believe they're actually under £20 for the pair. They're adjustable on the blue section, so you can make this blue section higher, and they're also adjustable here, so you can bring them all the way up and push something up into the shape you want, and then they just release as well. So they're really, really handy. When we come to marking the lights, or where we want to place our lights in all these boards, you're going to need something to measure with and draw a straight line with. And to draw that line, you'll need either a pen or a pencil. Why I've got the blade out, I don't quite know. I just had it on the side. Okay, you may well need the blade. Definitely when you come to unpack these from Custom Shop Designs, they come very well packaged actually. Definitely a drill to make holes in either your wood or in the roof beams, not through the roof, and a screwdriver to put them in. We're going to use a series of hole cutters to drill these boards with the holes from the original boards. Use the likes of these Christmas tree bits as well. And secondly, we're going to need to keep the roof up in place temporarily, and for that we may use those screws as well. The reason we have the trim tool screws is for the clips we're going to use, and we'll go on to that next. When you come to remove these panels from your VW or any other make of van for that matter, you will have these factory style clips. They can be reused if you can remove them well enough with one of these tools and actually hook those two parts out together. 9 times out of 10 you can reuse them, but we don't, because we use a thicker than factory board for our headliner in this instance, and then we cover that headliner in carpet. So the thickness of the headliner will be thicker than factory, which means we don't use those anymore. What we do use, and we buy these from Harrison's Trim Supplies, and I'll leave the link below to get these clips, and these are these longer headliner clips. Now compared to an original, you can see how much longer they are. They look fairly factory. They've got a wider base at the bottom here, but the top is almost identical. Okay, and they fit in exactly the same places in the roof, but because they're longer, they will actually hold the panel up into the roof a lot better. So replace these with those. The second clips we're going to use are these, again from Harrison's Trim Supplies, and they are to fit in place of these black clips on these factory headliner strips. So we remove those and we put these in. Now these are notorious for breaking anyway, so it's a good idea to get these clips, and they very easily just slide into the existing groove, slide up to the position you want them to, and they fit into the factory holes. And we use those, one, because 9 times out of 10 those clips fail, and secondly, they have a stronger grip into the metal of the roof once you've either carpeted this or lined this. So it's just a better way of doing it, and you can guarantee that they will stay up there. And that's the clips we're going to use today, and that's about the tool. So I guess we best get on and start marking up the boards and cutting them. Our first step is going to be to trial fit these boards, and also to mark where we want the spotlights ideally. These are sided. On one side you've got a cutout here, and that's for the sliding door side, so I know that this is going to be the let me think about it. That's going to be the bottom of this card headliner, and this is going to be the top. So this section here is for the sliding door on a right-hand drive van. If when you order these you have a twin slider, which means you'll have cutouts both sides, just let the guys at Custom Shop Designs know, and they custom make these for every sort of application. Again, in this instance I ordered these without light holes for the factory courtesy lights and without trim holes, but we are going to put them back in because I changed my mind on how we're going to fit these. So front one going in first. Okay, up in this top corner here, you've got to make sure your headliner goes above this part here, otherwise it won't fit properly. Now, I was going to carpet this van first, but I'm glad I didn't, because the order we're going to do this in now is going to show you guys where all the trim holes are. It'll just make it a little bit easier for us to explain to you how it's done. So I'm going to make sure now it's propped up. What we've done, we've slid it in and we've propped it up straight off the bat. Second thing we're going to do is match up both the left and right edges as if it was a factory headboard. It's a little easier when you've got your holes cut, but we'll cut the holes in later. These seats that I'm sat on, these are customer fitted. I didn't fit these. I believe they're out of something like a Renault Espace. They are going to be changed, but these are a temporary measure fitted by the customer, not me. Right, first things first then, I've come up with my first snag. There's still a screw hanging out here from when this was an ex-service vehicle. That hasn't been removed, so I've got to remove that. And there's another one here. And there's also a couple of these trim clips left out, so I'll just get the tools now to remove those. But that's all gone now. These are the factory, this one here, I believe another one of these. They're the factory holes that you're going to be pushing your trim up into. There's a slight recess or a crease in the body, just here. Just in there. That's where you want to put this board up to. Just there. And if you come over this side, it will match perfectly here as well. Look, so there you go. That's the recess we want to be going into, and this panel is just fitting in there really, really nicely. The second place to look at is this beam here, and the third place to look at is the beam right at the front. Now basically you want this panel in between this beam and the beam at the front, just so it's equal throughout, and there's enough space to get your clips into these holes when it comes to fitting them as well. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's going to be our first one. In another situation, if these seats weren't here, I would have had this prop a bit further towards the middle, but that is the first one in straight away. As you can see also, we've already insulated this van for the most part. We haven't quite finished it just yet, but we've insulated this for the most part, and if you click just up here, you can see how we went and did that. In this instance, this panel is not sided, but if you had a cutout here, for example, for the factory courtesy light, then you know that this would be the top and this would be the bottom. So just keep that in mind when it comes to fitting it. So again, before I've put the new panel up on the roof, I've just had a quick look around to see if I can find anything else, and there is a trim clip remaining. So just got to remove that, and then we can put this panel up into place. Easy as that. So, once again, we're looking for the recesses in the roof to place this headliner into. We've got the centre point here of the vehicle, or of the back of the van, and then we've got this edge here, oops, that edge there that we want the headliner to sit into, and if you can see there, it curves around nicely, and we want that to match up with this. And then basically the headliner board will butt right up against that rear roof panel. Oops. There we have it. So first trial fit then, we've got both pieces in, and already that's made a huge improvement on, you know, the appearance of the van, and it will look even better when it's carpeted. Yes, we've only just got the props in, but now we've got to decide where we want the LED lights in the roof. In this instance, we're having two separate circuits where the rear 4 lights for the cargo area are going to be on a separate switch down here in the door panel, and the front 2 lights are just just above the front seats are going to be controlled independently, as well as having the courtesy light by the sliding door. So that's how we're going to play that game. What I'm going to do now is put these seats in the seating position and just roughly draw out on the roof whereabouts I want those 6 LED lights. Just forward of where your head is, in this instance, I'm going to just roughly put a space for 1 light there. So if you're sitting in this seat, you want that downlighter face to your lap, much like if you're in an aircraft or something, you like to have an overhead light. And then 1 over here, about the same sort of distance. I know it's really rough, but we'll go into that the next spot. I'm going to then put 1 about here for the front area of the cargo area, and then 1 about here. So by the time we take the whole headliner down, lay the headliner down back onto the board, we'll be able to see exactly where we need to cut and the position of those lights. So the next stage is to take all this down again, and then we can accurately measure out those lights and drill the holes ready for it. And we're going to put the holes in at this stage for the rest of the trim clips as well. So let's do it. As I said before at the beginning of the video, that there are lots of different lights to choose from in terms of LED downlighters or LED strips. In this instance, we have chosen to go for these LED downlighters. This is just another example. They're actually easier to fit, so you may want to look at these. So the 2 different ways in which they fix. This light here, you would actually just screw straight onto the headliner using 1, 2 or 3 screw holes. So there would be only 1 small hole you drill, and that is to feed the power lead through the headliner. You then just screw that light onto the board itself. They are slightly raised, so it's about 1 centimetre in height, 10 mil in height, and they would protrude above that headliner. In this instance, we want the light to be completely flush. So all of this fitting here would be above the board, and the only part you will see is this bit here. And we're going to go and measure to fit those now. So looking at our headliner pieces now, they're down on the table as opposed to being up in the roof. I can see that the marks I've made are fairly equal. If I give them a quick measure from the center one, which I'm not going to move because the beams here, if I was to try and move it left or right either way, we'd actually hit the main roof support beam just about here. So that one's going to stay. This one measures 77 centimeters from the center point, and this one is 67 centimeters from the center point. 68. So if I'm just going to mark off here very briefly, and we'll do 70 centimeters between lights here. Now that looks quite rough, but I haven't finished yet. Now you may think moving that is quite a huge margin, but don't forget this was just my rough mark. I'm very happy with that being at 70 centimeters between each light. Actually, they're spaced out quite equally. So the next thing to do is, using our straight edge, is to make sure that they're all at the same distance away from the side of the roof. So I've butted up our roof panels against the edge of the table, and then butt our right edge up against the table also. And if we're again going by the center one, it's actually right about here, which is 26 centimeters. So I'm going to measure 26 centimeters here, 26 centimeters here, and that one's almost spot on there, isn't it? But 26 centimeters there. So if we then go from the center line, if I make that one the center line from here, that is where we're going to cut our hole. And I use 70 centimeters there as well. So I know all three of these have a 70 centimetre distance between them, and they are 26 centimetres away from the edge of the panel. Going back to my previous measurements, I made a bit of a boo-boo. It's not 70 centimetres from this hole here, it's 70 centimetres. It's 70 centimetres from this edge to the centre of this hole. So, we've got 70 centimetres between these two here, and then 70 centimetres between this edge and this edge. So, don't make the mistake I've done. 70 centimetres from this edge to this edge, okay? Clear. We've marked out the lights, we know exactly where they need to be now. First thing you need to do is drill them out with a pilot hole. So for that, I'm going to use just a 3mm bit in my drill. Drill out each of those holes, and secondly, we need to cut the big hole to fit the light in. I've measured this previous, and that comes to 56mm. So the hole we need to cut or drill has to be bigger than 56mm. Now, bearing in mind, we've got these spring clips that are going to attach the light into the hole. It needs to be slightly bigger than that 56. What I have here is a 60mm hole cutting bit. These are available from most hardware stores. I believe that one might have been from Screwfix in the UK, and it's going to go onto this arbor here. Once your pilot hole is cut, you'll be able to put this 6mm drill bit into the hole that we've cut, and then go straight through the wood with this hole cutting piece. And I'll show you how to do that now. So that's the one done. We've done the pilot hole with a 3mm bit. We've then cut out the hole with a 60mm hole cutter. Just another 5 times you've got to do that. When I ordered these door cards, I chose to have them without trim clips because I was going to mount them a slightly different way and show you how that's done. Decided against doing that now in this application. So what I'm going to show you now is a method of marking these holes, which will be good for you if you decide to not buy your own headliner panels, but make your own and use these as a template, okay? So it's really, really easy. Just use a bit of spray paint. So we've got these lined up exactly. I need to know where all of these holes line up on the board, and instead of getting in there with a pencil and trying to mark them in, etc, etc, obviously just get your paint, make sure it's held down, and very quickly you can see how effective that is in marking your holes, okay? And all you've got to do is just go around the whole panel, do that to all your holes, and then you just drill them out. It's nice and easy. So all my holes are marked now, my light holes are cut out. It's the last bit we're going to do, and then we're going to trial fit all the panels. I'm using, as shown before, that Christmas tree bit, and it will go from, if the markings are on here, I believe it's, there you go, it's 6mm all the way up to 36mm hole. So it's a really, really effective bit and perfect for what we're just about to do. When I cut the hole, I just make sure to go in both the top and the bottom, and that just gets rid of any burrs. All the holes have now been cut in the headliner, and there's one more thing I want to do before we actually put them up in the van and give them their final test fit. That is to just prepare these factory grey strips ready to put them up. There's 2 things we've got to do. One is to replace these black clips with these white clips, and the second is to remove the black clips in the roof where these pins fit into, because if the clips in the roof are still there, then these white clips won't fit in. So that's what we're going to go and do now. Okay, you're seeing me struggle now because somebody has drilled holes in these clips, and it's very, very difficult for these clips to slide along when there's holes in the way. So we can either just force them out like that. They will come out eventually. Good. And then this one can come out that way. Also, these are basically made of metal inside, so you can just sort of form them, straighten them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I haven't got them in exactly the right place, but when I come to fit them up against the van, I'll just adjust them to fit the holes. The second part of fitting these is to remove the clips up in the headliner. Best way I found to do it is by using our trusty Christmas tree bit again, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. So these are the clips we're talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, there's 2 more of the white clips you've got to fit to the larger strip over there, because the other 2 are still remaining. So there's 8 in total. Now, try as I might, there's not a clean way of taking these out, and the plastic that is used is very, very brittle. So if I just use this Christmas tree bit, and under a bit of pressure, just buzz them with that Christmas tree bit. So in order to fit our new white clips into this roof, we've got to remove these black clips. Now they're a bit of a pain, they're very brittle, they break, and they're very tight into the roof to be able to get your trim tool in there. So what I have used in the past, use whatever method you want, but what I have used in the past is our Christmas tree bit. And there you go, you can see how that's broken. It's not the cleanest way to do it, but it's one of the easiest ways to do it. And then all the bits that you may have broken off, they just fall out of here, and you can collect them with the vacuum after you've done. And that's about it. I'm just going to remove all of those now, and then we'll get the headliner boards up. So we've laid this board up, we've matched up our lines at the sides, and the first hole we're going to put in is the ones in the centre, using our longer than factory roof clips. First one to go in is just here. Now, actually, before I put that in, have a look. They've got an orientation, and if you can, always looks a little bit smarter, make sure they're running in the same orientation. That can be side to side or front to back, but if you get them all facing the right direction, that is the sort of detail that people notice. I would anyway. Should be able to remove that. There we go. Okay, back one up. I'm going to start with the middle again. I'm going to get my clips in the right orientation. Last thing to do then is to fit these rails. I'm going to pop just one there as a bit of a rough guide. Make sure that this strip is level, side to side, and then I can adjust all the clips so we know when it comes to banging them in, they all fit, and they're not going to. They all fit and they're not going to fall down. Now it's offset there because the clips are a slightly different design, but once that board's in and it's carpeted, it will be a beautiful, beautiful flush finish. So there you have it. We've fitted the headliner. As you can see, it's not finished completely. Normally at this stage, I would carpet it, put the lights in and put it all back up and never need to touch it again. But what we've done for the video today is shown you how to prepare your headliner boards. We bought ours from Custom Shop Designs, but you can quite easily use the factory boards that you may have taken down from your VW, Ford or any other van and use them as templates on 3.6mm ply, which is what ours are made from, just 3.6mm ply. And it's kind of that easy really. What we did in the video was to find out where we want the lights, and then we cut the holes for the lights, and we marked also the holes on our board ready for the trim clips. We also showed you the longer trim clips and where to get them from. That's Harrison's Trim Supplies. Again, I'll put their details down in the description below. As said before in our previous videos, we've shown you how to carpet your van and insulate your van. Go and follow those links, check out what we've done, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out all of our other videos on how to build your dream camper van.